I'm Dr. Aimiuwu from Campbellsville University here in Kentucky, and I'll be talking about enhancing social justice, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence model. Well, from research, we've seen that a lot of non-Asian minorities in America were badly affected by the COVID-19. And this is due to the fact that they have high rates of poverty, poor healthcare, low education, and lack of resources. Last year, there was a global protest against social injustice, not just because of the death of George Floyd due to police brutality, but people were also talking about the untimely deaths, incarceration, and criminal records and long prison sentences against people of color, particularly Blacks and Hispanics. Research also shows that 50% of those who are incarcerated have problems with unemployment and are 5 times most likely going to get infectious diseases. In the United States, prison gets 3 times more funding than grade schools, which ultimately leads to unstable homes, loss of jobs, and even loss of voting rights. According to fathers.com, 63 to 90% of fatherless homes are responsible for most of the social ills in society, which are listed there, ranging from poverty to crime, illiteracy, to drugs and sexual diseases. Among the non-Asian minorities, particularly Blacks and Hispanics, 71% of Black women are unmarried. 17% of Black males will be missing or dead, and this is due to imprisonment and poor health care. Now, whites make up about 62% of the United States, but 35% of the prison's population, which is about half. Hispanics are 17% of the population, but 21% of the prison population, roughly 1 to 1. But for the Blacks, they make up 13% of the population and 38% of the prison population. That's about 3 times population or rates of those in prison compared to just 1 in the general population. So Black males are in prison 5 times more than white males, and Black women are in prison 2 times more than white females. Also, Black males get 20% longer jail terms. So for example, if a white guy gets 20 years in jail, the Black guy gets 24 years in jail for the same or similar crime. Even with this COVID-19 going on, non-Asian minorities are most infected in terms of infections, hospitalization, and deaths due to socioeconomic, the type of occupation, and the access to healthcare. Whites and Asians are not affected by Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws are the Black codes after the Civil War that were made to ensure that Blacks didn't have access to vote, didn't have access to employment, basically could not be free, even though they were supposed to be free. And Asians and immigration laws are what affects Hispanics from settling down. They have broken homes, and you guys have watched the news where children were kept in cages in America, fathers, parents deported, and now they can't find each other. So the homes are broken. And before the Second World War, Asians were the least productive minorities in America, even behind the Asians, Blacks and the Hispanics. What happened? That whites stopped being racist towards Asians. Why? They wanted to win the Cold War. They were scared that Asian countries were going to join communism and then join China and Russia. The Americans figured out if you can show that Asians in America are more prosperous, are into healthcare, science, medicine, then that would discourage most of the Asian nations from following communism. And it worked. After just 50 years of whites not being racist towards Asians or using immigration laws against them or just any laws to prevent them from voting or advancing in life, this is what research shows. By 2016, when you look at the impact on capital, ethnic capital, Asians now have more income than whites. Asians outperform every subgroup and were the least before the Second World War. So what this shows is that when people are allowed to be free, they don't have restrictive laws against them, they prosper more than those who make restrictive laws against others, even if they're the majority, which are the whites. And of course, the other group, which are the restricted by law and policies. Look at the impact of ethnic employment. So this is 2019 statistics by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This is the rate of unemployment by the races. Asians are doing better than whites when it comes to rate of unemployment. They have the less unemployment compared to the Blacks and Hispanics. That also shows when people are free or treated fairly, they prosper even more than those who have power, those who claim to be majority in the country. And because of that, lately, there have been attacks on Asian Americans to the extent that President Joe Biden and the Congress have to pass a law to protect Asian Americans. And it's because of this reality. They've now seen that, hey, we just try to play politics so that the Asian countries don't join communism. But here we are in our own country. Asians are not doing better. So the moral of the story is, let people leave. No need for immigration laws or racial laws to hold people back. When people prosper, are allowed to prosper, and there's no one being restricted and nobody's doing the restriction, we all can prosper like the Asians within 50 years. And the last image I would like to show here is the effect of social justice or social injustice on healthcare. Both groups are compared to whites. Whites are one in terms of sickness, hospitalization, and death. In terms of being affected by COVID-19, Asians are doing better than even whites. Almost half, almost 0.6% or 0.6 compared to one male is sick. For the non-Asian, which are the Blacks and Hispanics, that's almost 2. The death rate, hospitalization about even, but a little bit higher for the Asians, above 1. For the non-Asian, it's above 4. So for every 1 white male that dies, hospitalized, 4 non-Asians hospitalized. When it comes to death rates, again, they're about even between the whites and the Asians, but it's almost 3 times more for the minorities. So it's important for people to be free. It's important to not have restricted laws in society. People should have the right to vote, choose their leaders, go to school, avoid criminal records, be able to have a family, excel, prosper, and then the country at large can grow and optimize their productivity. Now, how do we ensure that we can achieve this in society? So we look at technology. So we look at virtual reality and artificial intelligence. So let's focus on virtual reality right now. These are hardware software systems that help give you telepresence and immersion while interacting in different media. So I can, right now, this is like virtual reality. I'm in Chicago talking to you guys. You guys can see me, all right? Or I can see you when you were presenting and I can be aware of what's going on. The 5 senses are stimulated with integrated devices to give you know what's going on in geospace, spatial space, urban area, even underground infrastructure. So there are 3D GIS that helps with visualization, interaction, decision making. The Department of Homeland Security, Center for Disease Control, and the Police Department are already using virtual reality when it comes to emergency response, and many agencies working together because of its great camera potential. Now, the 3 features of virtual reality is telepresence, immersion, interactivity. So it's subjective experience, being in location, but physically being elsewhere within a medium. While using a medium is what they call the telepresence. Immersion is a psychological state of being absorbed within the medium, doing work, talking to people, trying to figure out what's going on. And interactivity is manipulating the context within the medium, and satisfaction is your expectation. Does it meet your expectation after use or not? Now, from the diagram, you can see that interactivity affects telepresence and immersion, and telepresence affects immersion, while immersion affects satisfaction. Users felt more telepresence and satisfaction when they used virtual reality compared to audio tapes, because they felt more involved, more telepresence, and there was realism. Now we talk about artificial intelligence. These are tools, techniques, and algorithms used to, that's the ability to think, learn, and decide. And they use machine learning, understanding of human languages, and image analysis to make decisions. Now, when you fuse artificial intelligence to analyze vast data in real time with human intelligence, you have hybrid intelligence. So hybrid intelligence is when humans use artificial intelligence to make decisions. Artificial intelligence uses an analytical approach to analyze knowledge based on reason and logic in real time, vast data, while humans use intuitive approach based on experience and intuition, which is better and superior because we have common sense. The artificial intelligence does not have common sense and can't react to change like humans can. So when you have hybrid intelligence, humans can access the AI predictive ability to make decisions, but humans can use intuition, creativity to aid AI in the models it's going to use to help make decisions and analyze data. Computerized AI or human hybrid intelligence is using AI to mimic a human expert. So the expert may be dead 10 years ago, but you can use AI to mimic his way of thinking, his way of behavior, and use him to make decisions 10 years later as a standard if you choose to do so. AI relies on data-reliant reasoning using past cases, rule-based reasoning, deductive reasoning, based on the models and methods or theories you're looking for, and biometrics to identify physiological and behavioral identities. In the legal world, police, lawyers already use some form of artificial intelligence for visual arguments, for case reasoning. Case-based reasoning uses past cases to find solutions to new cases. They look at patterns, correlation, and relationships. How does this case fit or doesn't fit? While the rule-based rely on experts to use theories or logic to interpret data before sentencing. So here's a diagram showing how human beings use artificial intelligence to work together through different stages, such as uncertainty, complexity, and equivocability. Now, the methodology for this study, I basically used literature review to find out what do this research. I depended on news outlets, civil rights websites, government reports, and academic journals to figure out what AI was, what virtual reality was, and to see the kind of social justice, injustices that were going on that needs to be resolved so that society can all prosper the way the Asians in America have done within 50 years in America. So this is a model. What I basically did, I took the features of virtual reality and the abilities of artificial intelligence and merged them all together to create this model. It's basically a cycle where the qualities of visualizing incidents that happen can then be given to artificial intelligence to make decisions through hybrid intelligence, because human beings are there working to come to a satisfactory conclusion that's equal to the same sentencing given to a white man. So when police officers go to the street or judges in courtroom want to make a decision on any case, it should be a case similar to what is given to the white man in American society. The white man can get 6 months probation, and the black guy gets 20 years in jail because of black codes, or the Hispanic man gets 20 years in jail because of immigration laws. No. Everyone should get fair and equal justice, equal treatment. We can't have one group have rates of their population in jail, another group 3 times their population in jail because of their skin color, their ethnicity, religion, or racial or sexual preference. Limitations of this research, a literal review was used instead of qualitative methods from experts. We could have interviewed experts to see the possibilities of this research, but we didn't. Triangulation was not done to investigate the use of privacy laws, how virtual reality could retrieve current data in real time, and about integrated data sharing between companies, people, with the departments or the courts, all right? So we need to do more research on effective data sharing for preventive and privacy controls. So the information we use in the courtroom should not endanger those who have the data on their smartphones or the building cameras or where we got it from. Biased police and judges can use wrong angles and coordinates and pour the audio to claim insufficient evidence against white, or the innocent minority is the perpetrator. So we have to make sure that we use the right models before we give AI to analyze what's going on, who did wrong, what really happened, no one can be lied against, and so on and so forth. Biased police officers and judges can use rules-based reasoning instead of case reasoning for whites. Present a new case or use experts' systems of non-racist and sexist. So I can use expert system of a racist judge that died 100 years ago and say, well, let's use it for judgment against this black guy today. That's wrong. That's a flaw in the AI system. Or a police can use the wrong angles and say, oh, well, we don't have enough evidence so that the white guy can walk, rather than being in jail for his crime, okay? So some may claim that only white case-based judgments for sentencing is biased, but the aim of this research is how we can make sure everyone gets free and equal treatment, judgment, and sentencing under the law. And so far, the white males get the best sentencing under the law. There are cases where they get 6 months probation in a fight, but the black man gets 10 years in jail because while he was fighting the white man, there was a ring on his finger, a wedding ring on his finger. And according to the law, when a black guy hits a white guy with a metal, that's attempted murder. So in a fight, fist fight, the white, this happened in Louisiana, Gina, Louisiana, I think 2016. The white guy goes on probation, 6 months. The black guy, 10 years in jail for having a ring on his finger. So that was a metal. Or a metal in his tennis shoe for kicking the white guy. Yes. So this is why this research was done. Conclusion. For visual reality and artificial intelligence to be effective tools in enhancing social justice, there must be adequate integrated data sharing protocols to see all angles, to see who was wrong, who was right, make sure the right person suffers for the crime, not put somebody in jail for 40 years, only to find out that the person was innocent and they gave him $1 million or two. They lost 40 years of his life, okay? Effective data sharing protocols should stress preventive and privacy protocols. Just because we get data from Internet of Things, smartphones, cameras, car cameras, does not mean those people should be put in jail. There should be privacy laws. We're going to use this data specifically for this case. AR, virtual reality, and artificial intelligence can ensure arrests are justified and jail just sentences is given to all. Injustices affect non-racial minorities. Inadequate access to resources, unemployment, education, healthcare, legal representation, voting rights, ethnic capital, Because when you have a criminal record, some people can't even go to school. Once you have a criminal record, you can't get student loan to go to school. I saw Black students in my school who were on scholarship. Scholarships were taken away, school loans were taken away because they were charged with a crime, and some of them felt they were innocent, they didn't do the crime. And they lost everything, and they had to go back home and drop out of college. People are equal. We want to prosper and live in a just society. White prison population is half their population. Blacks 3 times their population. Why get 20% longer sentences for Blacks? Crime is a crime. Law enforcement and judges need to be trained on how to use virtual reality and artificial intelligence. Use expert systems that have the best sentence and judgment for whites, for all similar cases, for everyone. All right? And police and judges should be monitored for how they use these tools for efficiency, or be terminated for non-compliance. We can't have you being racist or sexist and make decisions that can ruin people, families, and communities for generations. All right? And that's it. So at this time, I'll take any questions or comments you may have. Thank you very much.